Hey everyone, wanted to welcome you. Thank you for tuning in to our Flywheel Fuel series. My name is Alexis. If you haven't seen me before, I'm HubSpot certified trainer here on the Simple Strat team. In our Flywheel series, this is really designed to help you just kind of get awareness, generate leads, and create the fuel that you need to power your marketing and sales as efficiently as possible. So we do these every third Wednesday of the month. So be sure you check us out next month as well when we tackle our next hot topic. Today, we're going to be diving into ways that you can use AI to drive your marketing and sales efficiently. So we're actually doing this a little differently. We're going to do a lot of live demoing with you today. So while we do have like the 33 ideas, we're going to spend the bulk of today like actually showing it off. So we'll be bouncing back and forth a little bit between showing you guys the slides and then showing you the live demo. But post-webinar, you'll get access to the slides so you can actually see that full list later on. So as a HubSpot Solutions partner, Simple Strat, we're here to lend you our expertise. So whether you're looking to purchase HubSpot, you have a messy portal that just really needs to be cleaned up, or you see great ideas, or have your own ideas that you don't know how to implement exactly, that is what our team is here to help you for. So just always feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, so we're just going to dive in. I'm going to hand it over to Allie so she can get started on all of the fun AI talk.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Alexis. And I already see one question in the chat. So super excited to see any of those questions come in. We are going to bounce. It's hard to do 33. So like at the end of this talk, we may have more like 75 ideas to use AI in sales and marketing. And then there's also some things that I say personally, productive, meeting management, that kind of stuff. So keep with me here, because if you have a question, put it in the chat. We'll make sure that we'll draw that out as we're going through the demo here. And then I also have a couple screens. So I'm going to be looking off to the left here. And we'll dive right in. So one of the first things I want to bring up is this is something that's plagued all of us in sales and marketing. It's like, okay, is AI coming for our jobs, or what's happening here? People are nervous. They're excited. Emotions are kind of all over the board right now. But this still actually is one of the biggest challenges we face. And that is, what do customers want? And the long-standing accepted answer here has been customers sometimes don't know what they want. And so what AI can actually help us do is read sentiment, read between the lines, in other words, and then also help us get to that point where we can solve problems faster, more effectively, and actually be more human as we're doing that. So that is our overall goal today. It's how do we use AI to be more human so that we get some of the mundane, routine research tasks off our plate, and we can actually focus on building those relationships that we know will accelerate our results in sales and marketing. So before we do that, though, I wanted to pull out some things that I'm hearing in the marketplace. I've been talking to a lot of people about AI. I've been talking to a lot of marketers, a lot of sales teams, and there are three different responses that I'm getting depending on people and where they are in their executive suite. So one, there's just this, everyone's racing to make sure there's AI in their products. So I will say, take it with a grain of salt. When people say there's AI on the product, everyone's going to say that for a while. But where it's trickling down is, this is what it feels like in sales. And a friend of mine, Morgan Ingram, he has an excellent LinkedIn, tons of content there, but he says the amount of work required to get results is more, but the quotas and expectations have not changed. So this isn't necessarily something true of the fact that we use AI, but it's like, just talk to people across the board. Sales are taking longer to close. It's getting harder to get meetings. The things that used to work are not working anymore. So sometimes we're looking at AI tools as a way to speed up that process. And quite frankly, there is no silver bullet here, but I do want to bring this up. This was something that a friend of mine, Jordan, over at Sandler, shared, and he's on LinkedIn. He is known as the AI guy, I believe. Like, go find him on LinkedIn. But this is a slide that he had shared in an article, actually from Gartner, and had shown that this is the time that we spend selling, and this is the time that is spent doing non-revenue generating activities. So this isn't anything that you probably don't know. What I do want to say here is our goal is to help use AI over in the 65%. And so I have sales as part of my role. We have on our team, depending on your role, there's sales in everyone's little, kind of corner of our world. But there are so many efficiencies you can have, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Do the math, how much that can save you per week. So we've got people that are now doing things. This one's a little disturbing. 30% are working on sales activities while in the bathroom. I'm not sure who answers that on a poll like that. How does that come up? But 60% while on a date. I probably have responded to emails, guaranteed you sales emails while I'm out at dinner with my husband. So but we're getting bogged down is what's happening. And then also marketers saying, my boss thinks that AI can do my job, or at least a lot more of my job. So I'm forced to do more with less. And so if you've been in this role as a marketer, I'm going to tell you, I hear you and I 100% understand. And our job is to help our teams understand what needs to be done first and where AI can help. Instead, what we need to educate against is AI is not now they can write your blogs. Now they can do your social. It's not like another person. It's like having an intern that you still have to manage. It's like going from a puppy to a dog. Like the dog never becomes a human. Maybe someday we'll get there, but right now we still have to manage this. So it has one more piece on our plate. And then the last thing I thought was very, very interesting is this is something that I'm hearing. I'm part of a community called Vistage, nationwide, founders, executives, and something that's coming up in that group is I never know if I'm talking to a human or talking to an AI. It makes me not want to open my email. So as we all get excited about these tools, about these AI, like, yes, we can use all these things. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a healthy fear of like, who am I talking to? So we have the need to do real relationship building more than ever, which AI tools should help us do that. What we can't do is fake personalization, fake that we have a relationship, because that'll actually stop you before you even get started. So I thought those insights from the field were very valuable to share in the general context of AI before we jump in. So what is missing? So for folks that are not getting the best use out of AI right now, there's a couple of things at play, and a lot of you alluded to this in your registration. One was, I just don't really know where to start. There's a lot of tools. Everyone's buzzing about it. I feel like everybody in my Twitter feed is like, if you haven't used ChatGPT 5 times today, you're behind. I don't know about you guys, but that makes me feel terrible. It makes me feel like this FOMO, but actually the FOMO then gets you to a place where you just start doing things. And we at Simple Strat are a big proponent of plan first and then experiment. So if you experiment while you plan, that's fine. But too many people are just jumping in and all of a sudden the efficiencies are not there. They're actually inefficient because they're just now doing more things and more stuff without a process. So this is my favorite picture. I went and Googled like, show me a really bad remodel job. And so before we jump into AI and use it to help assist our tasks, we actually have to know what good looks like. So this was, there's a like Facebook page called, I think it's like feedback on Flip or something like that. And this Flip update was, I spent $15,000 on this kitchen and it's on the market for 415 days. You know, what is going on with this market? And I'm just like, well, unless Barney lives here, like this is the main reason why your house isn't selling. So we can't assume that AI can write let's say again, write our blogs for us if we have no idea what makes a good blog. We can't have AI do our videos for us if we can't even figure out how to do a good video without AI. And this is really the thing that I'm seeing is like, if you don't know what good looks like, we're going to dive into one of the tools I love. It's called Lavender AI. We're going to talk about that today because it actually gives you some grading of how to write better emails. Not just AI can write your emails, but it can give you a grade and teach you to write better emails overall. So you have to know what good looks like. Again, the mindset here is AI at this point, as we record this webinar, it is getting smarter, but it is an intern. It's a technology employee. If any of you have hired interns in the past, it's great. I have an extra set of hands. I have some people to do things, but you still have to manage them. That's the key here. And then you must be clear on what good looks like. And if you don't know what good looks like, you're only introducing chaos. There was a post put out today by his name is Peter. He's the CEO of a company called DataBox. He nailed it on the head. 10 years ago, it was like, write more content, do more, do more, do more, do more. And today it's provide me with context, provide me with insights, help me make better decisions. That is the land of B2B content today. And so if you're using AI to just do more, you are simply trying to use an old strategy with a new tool, and that's not going to work. So without further ado, let's jump into the 5 areas that we're going to touch on here today. And there is tons and tons and tons of ways to use this. But for what I promised today, and that is practical uses of AI, we have 5 different areas. So sales, communication, research. This could be sales research, marketing research, research about, an opportunity, marketing, and then meeting, or we'll call them like personal productivity operations. So let's start with sales efficiency first. So what I'm going to do, I have a couple of examples here that we had to screenshot because they were hard to show in the software. And then we're going to bounce off of this. And actually, I have a variety of tabs set up, and we're going to go through some real life examples. So if you have an example you want me to show or walk through how we would do this, we're going to kind of treat this like an improv session, and we're going to like put those in the Q&A, but I've got a variety of use cases already set up. So I'm super excited to actually show those to you here. Now, one more quick stat here from HubSpot, and that is that 37% of sales pros spend their time doing the things that, again, like we're supposed to be doing, and the other half is spent doing all this mundane work. So if right now you don't have a budget for tools like this in your company, or you haven't set aside time, tools are a piece that fit in once you get the process. If you have not budgeted time and resources to figure out how to get more out of that 65%, that needs to be one of your action items from this webinar. And I'm going to give you a lot of information to use in that use case. But if you need help selling this to executive leadership, I think we can work on that together. All right, so let's jump into our first one. So this here is 4 ways, and these are the things before we go into tools. I want you to think about these 4 ways. And again, these are derived from the AI guide, Jordan. So again, go follow him. These are his, not mine. But these are 4 categories that I thought were really exciting. This is how they're talking about it over in Sandler sales training to help us figure out what are the 4 areas. 1, understanding what buyers say. In my sales training in the past, I think my favorite phrase that I still find to be true is, in sales meetings, buyers are liars. Not because people intend to lie, but because they're self-protecting and they're afraid of being sold to. I'm not going to put all my cards on the table, because if I do, I have nothing left to negotiate. So what are buyers actually saying? What are they thinking? So again, what is that online behavior? What are their emails saying without saying? Some of those tools we'll look at today will help tell us that. How are they feeling? What is the sentiment in their communication? And then lastly, how are they going to act? So some of this goes into predictive analytics and tools like HubSpot or predictive lead scoring. We're not going to dive too deep into the predictive lead scoring and AI forecasting tools, because that does require a lot of data to be in your system. We will most likely do a webinar specifically on sales forecasting and AI in HubSpot at a later time, because they just released that tool at Inbound a couple weeks ago. So these are the 33 that we're going to go through here. I'm going to go through these quick, because what I want you to be able to do is, when the webinar is over, these are the things that I want you to be able to go through and kind of check off. You can use different tools to do this. I'm going to demonstrate these in the tools in our Chrome tabs, but we're going to talk through this real quick here. So prospecting smarter and ChatSpot. So ChatSpot's one of the tools we will bring up here and show you, but it is a tool brought about by HubSpot. And prospecting smarter means, who are you going after? What's important to them? And how do I track down those people? So you might be looking at, what technology are they using? What geographic region are they in? What's important to them? Like, what's the summary of the content in their news releases? All of that information can help you prospect smarter, and we'll dive into exactly how to do that here in ChatSpot. Adding directly to CRM. So if you are anytime we get a client that says, I typed so-and-so into the CRM, in your source code, it would say original source CRM UI. You should not be doing that ever anymore at all. If you're using ChatSpot, if you're using your mobile device, if you're taking a picture of a business card, all of these tools should be filtering that information for you. So you should not be doing stuff by hand. So we'll demonstrate that. Prepping for sales meetings. So a friend of mine, Kara Jane, over at Hunt Big Sales, they just released a book called How to Sell. I'm going to butcher the title here, but it's essentially how to use language in executive settings to sell to like really big deals. And the biggest thing they they hone in on is, there is no excuse for not being prepared to have an executive level sales conversation. You might be an AE and this might be the CEO. AI is your best friend to figure out how to really accelerate that learning fast. Changing the tone of messages. This is one that I love, because if you communicate with me, you'll know that, and actually I'll show you in the tool, it says like, Allie appreciates you being direct, but also a little bit friendly. There are other people that are like, give me the brass tacks. Do not use the like, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Like, the tool will actually say like, delete that. Don't say that. And actually, because all AI thinks that needs to be the first sentence you use, some tools will suggest it, others will not. So again, back to human, preferences here. Ideas for subject lines. This is one that has been really, really effective for myself, for our team. If you are emailing a lot of things out and just simply checking on clients, the subject line checking in, never use that again. Ask ChatGPT to give you better subject lines so that you don't have to say checking in 5 times when you're stuck in the land of checking in. Again, if you are stuck in that land, my friend Carl has a great book called Iceberg Selling. It's like chapter 1, like how to not get stuck in the land of check-in, but good subject lines will help you with that. And then summarizing industry articles. So I will take this and I will find an industry article, run it through ChatGPT, and then get the things that I need to know about the trends in that industry really fast, and then also put that into social. So again, we'll dive into tools to do this. Creating decks for sales and webinars. I was like blown away at the way that I could get a deck pulled together for some basic teaching principles on email marketing. So I'll show you that. Grading the effectiveness of emails. What we're never taught in school and any other time in our career is, how do you know if an email is good? And if you use ChatSpot or if you use HubSpot to do your email, I'm going to say they will help you write the email. But if you use a tool like Lavender, it will actually grade you. So I'm going to show you the differences between those two. And like, you probably will fall in love with it like I have. Summarizing emails. So Lavender also and a couple other tools summarize the email at the top. So if you're like me and you're like, oh, wall of text, I just shut down. What is the brass tacks here? It will summarize that for you. Also, there's a tool called SaneBox we'll go through, which like kind of goes through your inbox and says, we need to clean this up. And so we'll look at that tool as well. Now, writing outbound emails based on personality and context. Again, we're going to use Tyler, one of my coworkers, as an example here. Here's what it suggests Tyler is like, and here's how we should write a message to him. So that's pretty fun. And then writing for mobile first. If you didn't know this today, we are 8 times more likely to open an email on our phone, which means what does it look like on your phone when you send it? What I used to do, I used to email it to myself, read it, scroll, change, send. New tools will actually like grade that for you, which is fantastic. And then we'll look at a couple of opportunities in a tool called Apollo to run plays based on triggers. So I have heard time and time again that our trigger is, let's say, funding rounds or, a new CEO or whatever. You can have the tool run like this in the background and then prompt that to run a play when that trigger happens. So we'll look at that. Now, AI and marketing, this is my favorite phrase, get out of Boringville. So many content ideas, or just because we haven't looked at it in a different way. So I'm going to show you how I did that with one thing here. Creating content outlines. The blinking cursor issue is the curse of death. Nobody knows how to start from scratch. Everybody's really good at editing. So this will help you get out of that. Drafting email copy. We do webinars every single month. So every month we talk about, here's the overview of the webinar. Here's the key takeaways. If you have that format set, you can continue to make the AI smarter, and it can write your stuff every month. Like, it's getting pretty good once you've trained it. And now it's again, like a educated intern of your staff. Drafting social posts. We'll look at a couple of tools. I'm really picky with social posts. I mean, really picky. And the biggest thing I'm noticing today is like when I'm on social and I'm a very social, like savvy person, I can pick out something written by AI versus written by a human. So these, in my opinion, still need lots of editing. But again, I'll let you be the judge of that. Summarizing YouTube videos, we'll talk about how to do that for your descriptions or research in a tool called vidIQ. And then competitor research. How are you not like ranking higher for something? What are your competitors doing? What are they targeting? You can find all of that out in a tool called ChatSpot. And then same thing with their LinkedIn research. If you wanted to actually take everything someone has said, throw it into ChatGPT and say, describe this person and how the type of content that they like to get, you could do that. Podcast or channel research. We actually used this yesterday to go find all the podcasts in a space and then throw that into ChatGPT to give me a table. I'll show you that here in a second. Finding the keywords the competitors are ranking for. So this is a little bit, I meant to say this differently on the previous one. Keywords and then also like paid traffic. If they're paying for these words, you can bet that they know that it's working, right? Repurposing videos. So this one, I'll show you how we could take a call like we're on right now, and it will actually find my headshot and then pull specific clips out that we want to use for social. Editing tools with AI text-based tools. I can edit a interview inside of a tool called Descript. And then for productivity and operations, this one's huge for me. If we can run a meeting so that the notes get summarized, that's huge. If we can automatically create action items and recaps, that saves time and gets everyone on the same page. This one I use with people who give me stuff in email that isn't a calendar invite. Hey, ChatGPT, make this a calendar invite, and I can like upload it to my calendar. And then this one's one of my favorite ones lately is, how do you help your team work on things that are important but not urgent? That has plagued us forever and ever. And I'll show you how to use Reclaim to do that. And then process documentation. I use Notion as my personal preference. You can do this in other systems too, but how to make sure you define your processes and just get that, again, get it 60% down the field and then finish at 40%. And we talked about SaneBox. Okay, so we are flying through here. We're going to keep moving. Content examples. So this is the content example that I used to write. So we're going to buzz through one here. I'm getting ideas. So this is my brainstorming idea. So this is my prompt. We used ChatGPT and we said, act like a copywriter. You're tasked with writing an article about HubSpot's new leads object. So the AI isn't going to know about the leads object. So I have to give it context of who the target audience is. And one of the things that I didn't do here was like, since I'm not writing the article, I didn't include all the pain points. That's fine. We'll talk about that in a second. This is the information from HubSpot. And then all I'm asking for is, let's see here, come up with 10 different content strategies or directions that we could use to write this content and keep it fun and engaging. So without this, in the past, what might happen is introducing HubSpot's new lead object, blah, 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 like every other B2B blog. But when I do this, I'm getting, some of these are super corny. Like I would never use them. This sales Olympics, like, okay, eh. But if this was the Olympics time of year, that might be an option. The great sales escape, how HubSpot leads object sets you free. Again, this is their attempt to be witty and fun, but like, what's interesting is I found one that I don't like this title, but I really like the direction of writing about this new lead object as a secret ingredient in your sales success. Okay, that's interesting. So I took this direction and said, you know what? I like this direction. Now let's use this analogy. And then I actually put together use a cooking themed analogy comparing blah, blah, blah. And then I use this wonderful AI image. I would want to do it again because I don't like, this looks weird, but I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on that. And I had it write a script. So here's my script. Welcome to the sales kitchen of success. Again, like what I think of when I see this is that, I think it's on Sesame Street where he was like, Gorky, Gorky, Gorky. Like I think of that guy because he's like cooking up sales success. But I circled these because I like the words that came out of this. So when I'm thinking about social and I think about, okay, we've got piping hot leads, a perfect spice blend, a secret ingredient. Now I've got additional pieces of content to create social around, tweets. It might be an email thing. Now we're getting to the point where we can stand out with our content because I was simply using a better way to come up with ideas. So that is the first thing. If you're in a marketing capacity and you are just like, it is about as vanilla and bland as it gets, use ChatGPT to figure out some directions you could go with your content because you'll find some immediate gains in just having this as almost like a buddy to bounce off some ideas. Same thing with writing. So with these writing opportunities, creating an outline. So this is that blinking cursor thing. So again, act like a copywriter with expertise in X, and the audience you're writing to is this. They have experience in this, and here's what they need to do. Write an outline. Now, this outline isn't that great. I mean, brief overview of shift from traditional field, da, da, da. This is pretty boring. If I just even like expanded on this, that's boring. But as a person with experience in teaching teams to sell digitally, the overview is probably something like I would go back into ChatGPT or whatever writing tool I'm using and say, give me an example of what sales looked like in the 1950s and give me an example of what that looks like today. And then I could be like, oh, interesting. I'm going to use a clip from Mad Men. Again, like you can have your brain going, like use your time to be creative and not on the structure because the AI can handle that for you. So if you happen to be using HubSpot and you want to make a blog post, so I'm going to erase all of this. If you simply add in your / these are the content assistants inside of HubSpot AI that can tell us, do you want to write a paragraph, outline, give me some ideas or conclusion. So if I were to start this where we were before, I want to generate ideas on like blog posts to teach manufacturing sales execs about modern selling techniques digitally. Okay, so I hit this, I'm going to generate. And then HubSpot AI is going to give me a couple of ideas. It's going to give me 5, not as exhaustive as it might be on ChatGPT. But again, if we want to just get us started, I'm going to say the art of selling in the digital age, strategies for manufacturing sales professionals. Okay, great. That's going to be my title. So now I'm going to take this title. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to hit my little / again, and I'm going to generate an outline. So create an outline for a blog titled, let's say titled, right? And then make sure to include practical tips. I don't know if I could spell practical. Pretty sure AI knows when I'm misspelling, but we'll go practical tips for selling on, we'll say LinkedIn. And then we're going to generate this. So when I generate an outline in HubSpot, what it's going to give me is it's actually going to give me the H2 or H3, which is, if you're not familiar with like structure of blog posts, that's like what style it should be. Should it be a bullet? Should it whatever? And if I hit insert, it's going to give me somewhat of an outline. Again, like this is still pretty rough, but if I'm reading through this, my job as a content creator or a marketing person should be, okay, let's see, art of selling. This is the intro. So it requires this and this. If I hit this little lightning bolt, I can say, I'm going to expand this paragraph and I want this to be a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to expand it and then it's going to give me some more content. Again, always check before publishing, duh, but give it a couple of seconds and it says, all right, here's your intro. Wow. Okay. It gave me a lot more content than I needed here. So this probably isn't something I'm going to roll with, but it looks like it wrote pretty much the whole blog post. So you have to kind of play with it to figure out how you want this to roll. What I would have done is I would have taken this and I probably would have said, hey, actually, can you compare this? Use an analogy, give me some stats, feed it into some stuff from Gartner, and then come back. So this is how that assistant works here inside of HubSpot. If you do it in a social setting too, so this is HubSpot social, I could say, I wanted to do a blog post about, let's just go grab one of our blog posts here. And we'll take the one actually how AI is going to help sales teams and harm sales teams. We're going to throw this into our social. And then we're going to have the AI actually write some stuff for us. So we're going to say little slash, actually, we're not going to say slash, we're going to do this thing. And what's the post about? How AI will help or harm sales. And I'm going to generate this. So now it's going to generate me a tweet or a post. I don't know if they're called tweets anymore. A post, I think, is what X is rolling with. So artificial intelligence, one thing I will tell you I noticed of AI across the board is it loves emojis. Okay, the average person using this number of emojis is like my dad. So let's not use as many emojis. It's kind of like smelling desperation, but we'll insert it for now. Okay, holy wow. The AI doesn't really know how to write a tweet because this is very long. So we're not quite there yet, but what I would do is I would say, you know what? Okay, this is terrible. Wondering how AI will impact sales. Interesting. These three things. I will delete this. I will delete this. I will delete this. And we're going to shorten this up and say, they also like hashtags. What are your thoughts? And that's it. So it's a little bit too long for Twitter or again, X. You can't get used to that. But we could roll with this on LinkedIn. So again, how long did that take me just now? I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. So this is where your efficiency comes from, according to Lately. So this is another social tool. It's called lately.ai. The average person, when they're writing a social post, it takes them about 15 minutes. Now, for some of you, it may take longer. Some of you, it may take shorter. I said about 5 minutes, but Lately told me, again, with their tool, it's going to take me 3 minutes. Whether or not that's true is arbitrary based on your own process. But I will say, again, what I just showed in HubSpot makes it so that I can easily get this out through my tool already. If I use Lately, so we're going to take this blog and we're going to go to this social tool and I'm going to go to the generator and I'm going to generate posts from a URL. I'm going to paste this in here, click generate, and then I want to go, let's keep it personal. And we're going to generate. So it's going to do its thing. Supposedly. Come on. AI needs a little bit of a kick in the pants here, evidently. There we go. So it's doing its thing. It's going to give you lots and lots and lots of different AI posts to choose from. So if you don't have things that you're already writing and promoting that are relevant, like that's probably step one. Use your AI to write the content. You can also do this for videos, but we're going to turn them into social posts and then we can review them. So again, highlight here. That's interesting. The link is not broken. We're going to go to a different one. So I've already done this a couple times. So we're just going to go back to our previous setting here. Okay, so we did it for this one. So here we've got loaded up this blog post here, and then it went ahead and wrote for us. So over here, we've got an ability to train the AI, but we've got all these best practices that are missing. So the key with this is continue to train it in how you should be using it. And then you're going to find some opportunity. If I click save, I can send it directly to HubSpot, or I can send it to my drafts in Lately to publish on social later. So again, if social's on your bucket for the month, you could do this very, very quickly, batch a bunch of stuff once a month, and then send it to your HubSpot and schedule. So that would be one way to find efficiencies with AI. All right, so let's go into some AI with our inbox. So there's a couple tools here that I have hooked up to our inbox. One's called Lavender, and one is called Crystal Nose. All right, so this So this is a just an example of a Gmail composition screen. And this one down here at the bottom, this is the Crystal knows. So if I type in a recipient, so we're going to use again my coworker Tyler. And when we're going to start with this one. This is Crystal knows is going to go out and find their specific, what they believe is their disc profile from LinkedIn and from any email communication they can find. So it's going to give you some specific, we'll call them, I guess, tips on how to communicate with that person. So this is all kind of observational. This is my disc profile. It's saying that Tyler and I are the same profile. I'll have to ask our employees if we agree with that. But you would definitely want to take that into account. And then here, we've got some specific things that you can do when you're looking at how to communicate with that person. Now, if you take this a step further, you could also go to, how might you write a subject line to Tyler? What might you do in the body? Here are some examples of some emails that you could use. Here's a cold sales pitch example. This is pretty, I'll call it, it's templated based on personality type, but it's not templated. It's not for this individual as a person. When you go to Lavender, you can layer this on top, and I'm going to say, open up the personalization assistant here. We're going to get rid of this guy. Click to research contact. Okay. So on the right-hand side, we've got this information about the feed, the profile, and then the company. So I can see information about Tyler. I can see information about him. It gives me a summary of him as a professional. It gives me any specific people that we might have corresponded with on email. And then it gives me information about the company. So what I might do when I'm writing an email to Tyler is, let's say that I'm going to, I don't really know what to say. So I'm going to use this email assistant here. If I scroll down, start my email. So this is one of the most important things I think that you get out of AI would be, we're going to go ahead and say, I saw you, or I heard you on the Agency Unfiltered podcast with HubSpot. Let's assume that we are actually selling development services to agencies, because that would be an appropriate thing to sell to us. And I love your YouTube channel. And then we could help with overflow in development if you're ever short-staffed. Okay, so if I click on start, it's going to ask me what type of email I want. And if I click on cold email, this is going to be an email like introduction for the first time. And again, with these 3 bullet points that I just showed you, this is what we're going to come up with. So we've got, hi, Tyler, I've heard you, on this, you did this, we could help with this. This isn't a bad email. This is actually a pretty good email. If I want to use this and I insert this into the email, it's going to give me some areas that it's going to suggest based on this plugin, again, back to the Crystal Knows, because Tyler's direct and influential, these are the things that it's saying. You might want to be more casual with this and use this phrase. Again, to each his own. I'm not sure that this is worth changing. But then over here on the right-hand side, it will give me this email coach. So this is the piece that I think is one of the most powerful pieces of AI when you're getting efficiency and trying to do sales communication better, is this is what a good email looks like. And then wait for it, this is the mobile optimized version. So it's like your email is optimized for reading on a mobile device. That's wonderful. Let's go ahead and see, does it have too long of sentences? Okay, this could be something we could work on. This I versus you. How many times did you talk about you versus the prospect or the recipient? So that will help you there. Cliches, we all hate these in business. This will actually pick these up for you. If your email is less than 50 words, more likely to get a response. Okay, how many people on this call have realized that you need to write 50-word emails? That's hard. Writing less characters, if there's one thing that I've learned over the years in using Twitter, it's that that's made me a better writer because I've had to use less characters. But less words is typically better when you're doing cold outreach. So if I said, okay, it's 91, that's great. If I go to change this, so let's say I'm going to get in here and I'm going to change, so it's too complex. Okay. It's at the 7th grade reading level. So we're probably going to change this to just simple strats, helps companies. Let's see. We could be a valuable resource. Okay. Now I'm still at a 91, but it shows me that I've been writing this email now for 40 seconds. So if you try to increase your score again and again and again, and your writing time ends up being like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you're wasting time on efficiencies that really just don't help you. The more you use this tool, you're going to get a dashboard that shows you how effective your writing is for the time spent, and you can analyze that across your entire team. So if I were to send this to Tyler, then it would show up in that once he opens it. The other thing here to keep in mind is that I can also insert GIFs if I want to. Like, that's interesting. And I could test that. And then also the email coach gives me, like, even if I'm writing emails to like non-sales people, it can help me understand that. ChatGPT does integrate with this as well. So I could actually say, what are some pain points for HubSpot agency owners? So if this was me trying to sell to Tyler, it's going to give me some examples of some things I could write in my email. And wow, that just totally gave me all the things I need to know about sales. Some of these might be off again, but if you know your industry, you should be able to do this. The thing that I found to be the most effective in using AI is to have this stuff like banged out in advance. So if I was actually going to say, let's do a whole webinar about how I'm going to build a campaign from start to scratch or from scratch to finish using AI, I need a document like this built. You can build this with ChatGPT again, but like, this is my document. So if I'm going to zoom in on this, what I have here is, this is Simple Strats. This is our target audience. This is who we sell to. These are the pain points that people say and the reason why they hire us. Our HubSpot's a mess. We need help cleaning it up. Da, 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 da. I can then just copy these and throw them into an email like that because I've got the pain points already figured out. This is great because every time I hear a new pain point on a sales call, I'm going to add it to this document, because real conversations and real pain points from real customers are the best medicine for building a strong sales campaign. Now, these are the solutions that we offer. So these, again, if I was using a template, which I'll show you HubSpots here in a second, I need the solutions and how these actually address the pain points. And then these are the outcomes that we get. PS, I went to our review directory inside of HubSpot and pulled out some, said, hey, ChatGPT, run through this listed directory and pull me out 3 quotes that would support this. These are real quotes from real customers. I can use these in our sales automation as well. So again, if you think about this, going back to that recipe analogy, what are the ingredients you need to actually make the tool do what you want it to do? So if you haven't already put together a document like this, this is the non-AI instruction that you need after this call to make the tools work for you. So I'm going to jump back to that email. And I'm actually going to say, okay, let's say instead I wasn't going to write this email. I was going to have HubSpot do it. So instead, if you have HubSpot, you don't need Lavender. You don't need Crystal Knows unless you want the personality analysis. I can have HubSpot write an email for me. But it's going to give me, HubSpot's AI is a lot more like, let's put you guys in a box so you don't screw this up, right? Less flexibility, but probably faster execution. So what are you selling? Okay, I'm going to go back to this document. We are selling customized consulting to help. I'm going to go back to my pane. Scale up marketing and sales when they're not sure where to start. Okay. So I am selling to let's go VPs of sales and VPs of marketing. We'll see how HubSpot uses this. I don't like it, but you'll see for in a second. So describe why your product's a great fit. So I'm going to go to this pane and I'm going to say, let's do, I'm just going to actually take a couple of these. We're going to throw these in. And HubSpot's a mess, need help cleaning it up. And then we're going to go helpful. I would spend a little more time on this, but since we're trying to get through all of it, I'm just going to hit generate here and see what we get. So this is going to be, again, when you have HubSpot integrated with your Gmail, you get this naturally. So, hi, subject line, can we chat about cleaning up your sales and marketing? Okay, that screams sales to me. I would not use this. But if I could take this and I would say, let's insert this in. And then now I'm going to use this email coach and we're going to exit out of there. And we're going to go back to our email coach here. Woo, I now have a B. Okay. Why do I have a B? Lots of red here. Okay. It's too complex. It's on mobile. This is terrible. I'm scrolling forever. So all of that, like, it's actually going to show me, wow, holy wall of text. Who wants to get a prospecting email from someone like this? Nobody. So that's going to be helpful. This piece alone is like, I would pay for Lavender just for this, because people don't realize it's very few until you have to scroll. So again, that's how I'd use this. And again, it gets you started. It doesn't write it for you, but it gets you started. Again, I like Lavender's better than HubSpot's in this case, but if you don't want to pay for an extra tool and you have HubSpot, it's already right inside. Okay, let's keep moving on. So 2 other use cases here. So I told you about how we looked at the podcast research. So if you happen to be looking for what are some shows, what are some webinars, what are some collaboration opportunities we should have for our marketing team, I found a list. So if I go to this, my prompts, a list of all of the top podcasts for a specific thing. Copy all the text off of that web page and then tell ChatGPT to put it into a table so that I can easily see this information in a way that I can put into, let's say, a spreadsheet or an Airtable. Now, in a matter of 5 minutes total, I've got a list of the top podcasts in my industry. Again, I'm missing links and whatever, but this is super helpful because you can actually use this. So if you have, so David had a comment here, you can tell ChatGPT to limit characters, which helps with Twitter. Yes, you can tell ChatGPT to limit characters. You can also use, I have a third-party tool up here called Split Long Text. So ChatGPT typically will like truncate you if you have too much text for it to manage. It's like, whoa, 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 too much text. You could actually paste your entire text in here. And then what it does is it splits it up into different parts and then summarizes that all of that for you. So if I did that right now, I'm going to copy the page text and I'm going to split it. If I did that, let's see here. I don't know if I can demo that here because this is actually an old one. Might not be able to show you that here in the moment. But essentially what it does, this plugin takes all your text and then splits it up. And as it feeds it to ChatGPT, it says, go back and read the previous one. Go back and read the previous one. So, all right, let's jump into our next one here. So this one's called Beautiful.ai. Beautiful.ai can take content and write a rough presentation for you. So we're going to do this here live. We're going to say, let's create a new presentation on, Designer Bot AI. We're going to do how to use a CRM to lead your sales team. And keep in mind, again, it's doing its best to go find the information out there, but there are some general structures that a tool like this uses to give you kind of the framework of what you might need to do your presentation. So it's about, maybe 30 seconds as it's kind of pulling this together. And you can choose to import a PowerPoint if you want to have it find your colors and schemes behind it. But not sure how long this took me last time I did this. All right, we might come back to it here in a second. So ChatGPT is a little bit slower. So ChatSpot. So I'm going to go here for a second. So if you haven't signed up for an account with ChatSpot yet, highly recommend that you do. So chatspot.ai is where to start. You don't need to be a HubSpot customer to use it. So when you sign in, if you have a HubSpot account, you will sign in with your HubSpot password. And once you're inside, it's choosing to reload everything for me. Perfect. Once you're inside, you will have access to all these different templates. So I know someone in one of the what will I learn in the webinar was I want to learn about prospecting. So there's a whole tab over here called how you can use ChatSpot for prospecting. So let's say that I wanted to find all the companies that use HubSpot in, let's just choose the state, Montana. We're going to use HubSpot.com. This is important to us because you're probably not going to be our customer if you don't use HubSpot. So this would be going out, looking for all the companies that use HubSpot. And then since HubSpot and ChatSpot are linked together, if you use HubSpot CRM, you can easily add this to your CRM. So this is where that efficiency is coming in because the efficiency is, oh, wow, I can go ahead and research them and add them to ChatSpot even further. So evidently everything today is taking a little bit longer, probably because I have like 15 AI tabs open at the top. They're all competing. But I've got 265 companies that use HubSpot in Montana. And the way that they're finding that is they're looking for technology on their website, but I can choose to research further. So is Home Science Tools worth my time? They have 30 employees. Here's how long they've been along, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this looks good. I'm going to add them to HubSpot. So I can add to HubSpot and then I can view right inside of my HubSpot dashboard here. I can say, all right, now that I've got them, I want to add them to a list. I want to make it a campaign. So again, I didn't put this in by hand. I did all of this using the tools. Let's go back to our AI. So this is our lead your sales team with a CRM. This is the presentation when it's automatically created. And if I actually go to the next slide, the benefits of a CRM, here's the history. Here's what we're going to do. Like this isn't great. That's actually not a great slide whatsoever. I would never have this in my presentation, but this is assuming that it's a sales presentation. So it's not great, but it actually is much better than I've seen of most teams in getting things off the ground. So here's our options. Again, this is assuming that it's a deck. Here's our feature comparison. My prompt probably should have been how to use HubSpot to drive sales, as opposed to the AI thinks I want to sell HubSpot compared to something else. So when I did this for a previous example, this how to write effective emails, this actually worked much better. So how to write them. Here's your simple short tips. If I wanted to redesign this, I could actually choose a different layout. If I wanted to actually change how the slide looks, I can say, give it to me in short bullets, give it to me in 1, 2, 3s, give it to me in pictures, give it to me in text boxes. So if you are trying to communicate information, pictures and slides are always better. This I think is wonderful. Play with it a little bit and see how it can actually get you up and going faster. All right, so let's go back to ChatSpot and we're going to spend some time back in these templates. So prospecting templates, use these. Like this is really helpful. I love this because when we're looking for industry, location, technology, this is really, really helpful. If you're doing researching, we can go to company insights. I can find a lot of things here. So if I want to find all the competitors to HubSpot, I just type in the domain and it's going to give me all the companies that are a pseudo competitor, if not a direct competitor to HubSpot. What's interesting is I find when you do this and you put in like your company, who does it think you're competing with? So that's one option in the competitor or the insights. Other options, find all of the news about a company lately. Find what the competitors are for pay-per-click. Find what technology a company uses on their website. Inside a ChatSpot, we won't demonstrate all of these because again, you can see the templates that exist here. Get in here, check it out, figure it out. There is a lot of efficiencies to be had. Research and summaries. This is where we talked about researching and asking questions or doing descriptions of YouTube videos. Let's say we want to put this webinar onto YouTube when we're done. If I get the word count and I type in the summary of the video, it will give me a place to start. Now, if you go to tools like vidIQ, so again, I know I'm tossing lots of tools at you. We'll put these all in the notes of the webinar so you guys can go get them. But I could say, all right, my title recommendations, we just did a webinar about AI tools and tips to use to increase sales and marketing efficiency. And I can get title ideas. So knowing that, it will go ahead and give me all of these different titles. The other thing that I think is very interesting about this specific tool of vidIQ is it will study your channel and then give you daily ideas here based on what they think you might be interested in that's trending. So again, it's doing some of the thinking for you, some of the analysis for you. We're not going to go through this tool. We could probably do a whole webinar on AI tools for video, but this one, I love AI as a chance to extend my brain and a chance for my team to work harder on the creativity and less on the mundane stuff. So that's going to be how to use ChatSpot there. Now I'm going to jump over to a couple of others so we make sure we get through these here. One, Fireflies. If you're not using a meeting tool or a meeting recorder, this is one of the best efficiencies you can do. 2 things to make it better. So right now, if you go into like your meetings and let's see here, notebook, all meetings. So if I go into this meeting, you'll see there was a lot of people in this meeting. We're not going to go through the whole script here, but it gives you a summary. And sometimes it can't summarize the information because you don't have good enough action items. So if in your meeting, you have a prompt where you say, in this meeting, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. When the meeting starts to wrap up, all right, everybody, let's wrap up and go over action items. That's really good prompting for the AI to know how to summarize your information. Think about how you're running meetings. We just talked about Lavender, which we'll buzz by that here. Bigroom.tv. I know some of you here are marketers. If you upload a video to bigroom.tv, it will actually try to find you in the video and make it into a vertical. So if you watch this one, I'm going to go to the middle and you're going to notice that as we're talking, I must be ranting about something. But as you can see, it's actually trying to figure out who's in the middle of the frame. What AI is doing, the thing that was done wrong in this one is whoever was interviewing me here still had their sound on. So it can only pick up based on what microphone's picking up at that time. So if you're going to use a tool like this, make sure the sound is off when the other person's not talking, and you can cut video super quick. So you can notice that I took actually a podcast interview, a webinar that we did last time, and actually like right there, I've already got vertical video. That's perfect. Something else that is really valuable to sales and marketing is process documentation. So how are we going to do things? How should we do things? In Notion, this is a tool that I use to do a lot of documentation. I'm simply going to ask AI to write a website launch process from planning to design to launch. And then it's going to give me, this is the launch process. This may not be my process, But this, when I've done this with nearly every process inside of our company, I am at least halfway down the road. This has saved my life multiple times because now I'm going, okay, you know what? This is pretty clear. Oh, you know what? We actually put the planning and the design phase in the same phase. I wonder if we should split it. Do we keep it? This is super helpful. And then in tools like this, you can also embed Loom videos. You can embed other AI pieces that make your job a lot easier. So Notion, check that out. Stay in Inbox. Stay in Inbox is the one that it goes through and cleans your inbox for you and helps you manage things just from an AI perspective. So we've got, some things where you can set up folders and trainings and views. This deep cleaning one is going to say, help me clean out my inbox. Give it some parameters and say anything beyond this date, do these things with it. Super valuable. Go ahead and check that out. Crystal Knows is going to be that one we just talked about where it's actually knowing the buyer before they sell. So that's going to be that plugin where we talked about it being here and showing us like how that person's going to interact with us. And then for Apollo, if you don't use Apollo, it's kind of like a Zoom info sort of a tool. But what I love about what they've done with their AI features are there's these play templates. So back to the when you have a trigger and something happens, it then gets teased out here. So when when a person doesn't show for a meeting, automatically enroll them in this play. And when you set up your plays, I have 2 set up here. When companies are researching a category, so if they're researching HubSpot consulting partners, HubSpot automation consultants, when they research this, add them to an account list, and then we get a Slack when that happens too. I've got a template already built up in Lavender that I can just send them, right? Same thing with they just got funding, run this play, do this thing, move it to our HubSpot. That's all AI. And this is the stuff of modern marketing and sales teams. If you're not doing this, talk to me about this because I think this is super powerful. Now, the other quick piece here I wanted to make sure I called out was the last piece would be finding time to work on important tasks. So Reclaim, you get a look at my ugly calendar here, but Reclaim, you can actually then set what habits you want to work on. So I want to make sure I run every day. And I can't run every day at noon. I can't run every day at 6. I have to just fit it in when I fit it in. So if I wanted to create a new habit, let's say I was going to create a new habit of posting on LinkedIn every day, and I want to do it between 9 and 5, the max it's going to take me is 15 minutes. I give this to my calendar and I say the ideal time's 9, but I'm flexible. Notes, I can always say, how defensive do I want to be? Like, can Alexis actually schedule over this? I'm pretty defensive. If I say I'm always busy, nope, Alexis is never getting my time during this 15 minutes. So then when I say save, what it's going to do, evidently I don't have a network connection. Can you hear me, Alexis? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
You were
weird.
missing the name at the top.
Thank you. That's why you work here, because I missed the details. Okay, let's go here. LinkedIn, and then we're just going to click on save. Perfect. Okay, so please stand by. My habit's created and it's being scheduled at the moment. So when I actually go back to my calendar and I look at my planner, it's going to show me my LinkedIn here. And if I click on that, it's going to show me that the duration is here. I don't have any upcoming at the moment. It's still working on that. But as you can see with running, it just threw running in where it fits. So next week, I am running at these different times. So I find this really helpful as you're looking at things to catch up on. Also, if you have a task that comes through your email and you're using Google Tasks, so I'm going to hit this. Somebody wants me to contribute to an article. We're going to hit tasks and we're going to say, move it to Reclaim. When I do that, then what happens in Reclaim is it shows up in my tasks and then it automatically finds time for me to work on that. So then I found this to be one of the most powerful tools that I've piloted recently, but I would be open to hearing how others do that as well. So goodness. Okay. That is our, we are now at the end, almost to the end of the time. So we are going to jump over to this slide here. And the next steps I have for you are mapping out your process. I'm cool to stay a little bit longer if folks want to stay longer and ask questions, but you need to map your process out first. Where do I want to use AI? Where am I spinning my wheels? Where am I spending my time? Identify use cases from today. Don't do them all. Find one thing you liked, one thing that would really be beneficial to your team, your company. Put a pilot together. And then once you do that, document and train around it. So if this is a lot and you want us to help you again, we can do that as well. So next month we have how to get more out of our current HubSpot updates that came out. A lot happening here. And then Tyler's going to do that. You can register over at simplestrat.com/webinars. And then we'll move into Q&A. So thanks for joining us.